You Can't Make This Shit Up. Episode 2 with Paul Elam and Tom Golden. Let's see what they're up to.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the interwebs. I'm Paul Elam with a voiceformen.com and an earformen.com. And I am with, as always, Mr. Tom Golden, LCSW from menaregood.com. What's up, Tom?
Everything's up, man. Things are looking good this week.
Yes, it has been a good week, hasn't it?
It really has been.
I'm sure nobody can guess what I'm talking about. Just watching lefties squirm and cry and moan and gnash teeth. I mean, it's like Schadenfreude of porn.
And watching Trump say the world is a dangerous place for our young men.
Yep.
That made my week.
Out loud. And for the first time that I've seen, Trump actually mocked an accuser. Right there on that, just made fun of her, and by God, she deserves it because I think she's a lying bitch. I don't believe a word she says. People kept talking about how, she was credible. No, she was emotional. And in a gynocentric world, a woman who's emotional is the same thing as a woman who's credible. If she's projecting that she's in distress, it triggers us to rescue her.
Yes.
Society to rescue. So we come up with words, oh, she was compelling, she was credible. No, she wasn't credible. She couldn't confirm a goddamn thing she was saying. And the people that she said would back her up said she's full of shit. That isn't credible. By any stretch, it's not credible.
From her first 5 seconds, I just went, oh my gosh, because her voice was that of a 7-year-old girl,
Neoteny.
Exactly. That's the word I was going to use. I mean, That's what she's doing. The big eyes and the tears maybe come down, maybe not. And just, oh, poor thing. She's pulling that out of people, just pulling it out.
Oh, just all the way down to the quivering lip and biting her tongue. Sister, I don't know if I remember what you did.
Well,
and then the world looked at that. That's how fucking gynocentric the world is. The world looked at that and said, oh, she's credible.
That's it.
Really? She's like,
she must be telling the truth.
Going on 4, and she's credible? Oh, man. And she's not even one of our stories. But
I know. We better get on to the work, eh?
We better get on to our work here. But I did want to take a moment to acknowledge.
Me too. Speaking of Me Too.
That I was happy.
But I also want to say one more thing, Paul. There's a man named Anon Amos, I guess it's Anonymous, who was one of the commenters on my YouTube channel, Men Are Good. And he was the one that suggested that we call this thing, You Can't Make This Shit Up.
Okay, well.
I wanted to publicly thank him for that.
Tip of the hat to you, sir.
There you go.
Hats off to you. It was a good idea.
It was.
And strangely enough, that when we called it Mint, they demonetized it. And on my channel, and now we've named it You Can't Make This Shit Up. It's monetized. Go figure. Their algorithms at YouTube are as wacky as Christina Blasey Ford. Anyway, speaking of wacky, speaking of problems, and we'll start off with my first story, the Red Pill subreddit. For those of you, most of you know what that is. It is a red pillish subreddit. It has been quarantined, and by that I mean and as you can see on the screen right now, when people try to visit that subreddit, they get this message saying that it's been quarantined and urging caution as though there's peril that lies ahead. If you continue from here, we can't be responsible. What happens to you? You might get exposed to the truth. You might get exposed to men with feelings about things and ideas that they're willing to express even if they're unpopular. And the funniest thing, this is not a funny story. I mean, this is about free speech. It is about the constant effort to silence men who speak on their own behalf. And it is about our basic freedoms. It really is.
Yep.
And so they've quarantined this thing, I guess, as some sort of prelude to eventually pulling the plug on it or whatever. They're building steps toward removing it entirely. And I have a couple of things I want to say about this. One, going back to the warning on the screen from them, they're suggesting that the men who go to the subreddit instead go visit Michael Kimmel over at Stony Brook University Masculinities program. If they have questions about masculinity, they need to go there instead of the Red Pill subreddit.
Isn't he an abuser?
Yes, he is. Michael Kimmel has been publicly identified as a sexual fucking freak pervert that's been skulking in the shadows, like we know most all male feminists are. They lust after women. They don't know how to get them the old-fashioned way, so they act like little beta pussies and talk about believe the woman, and they're leading the charge, of course, on telling us how credible liars like Christine Blasey Ford are. But the whole, I mean, it's sort of like if going to a healthy nutrition subreddit, they quarantined and sent you to McDonald's instead. That part is funny. I mean, that's comedy. It's comedy gold. There's just nothing but funniness about that. Yes. The serious side, though, and I got to be directly honest here, full disclosure. I don't like the Red Pill subreddit. It's not a place where that I feel like I could get very much of a benefit at all. Maybe I could have 20 years ago when I was still stuck in a lot of Red Pill rage. As a matter of fact, I would more think the thing is more aptly called the Red Pill Rage subreddit because what I get the impression of is a bunch of guys that are stuck in Red Pill rage. And the thing is, though, that like any other form of grief, that rage, that part of development for men taking red pills is necessary.
Yes.
So
exactly.
While the Red Pill subreddit holds nothing for me, it's like so fucking 10 years ago for me. Who needs it? That's the way I honestly feel. And I know that those guys there feel the same way about me. They don't get any benefit from my work. I know I'm regularly denounced over there, and that's fine. I mean, it's not that I give a damn either way about that. But what's important is if men want to rage and just be into the all women are bitches and hoes routine, if they need a place to do that, they should have one. And some men need that. They need that as a phase of their development.
Most men need that.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I went through it myself. I've written on the Red Pill Rage. I believe it is a very important part of what I call blue pill grief and grieving your old life. Because you have to let go of the fantasies you were always believed in about women and about relationships and romance and all this stuff that turns out to be garbage. And I think that places like the Red Pill subreddit, although not at all my cup of tea, nothing that I would ever need anymore, they're saving lives.
Yes.
And
they're needed.
Yes, needed badly.
Yes.
And so I wanted to go on the public record of saying how much I oppose this quarantine. They need to lift that thing. They need to leave these guys alone. Let them have their goddamn Reddit and leave them alone.
Yes.
They're not doing anything to anybody. They're just men talking to each other. That's all that's happening there.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit angry about it.
Yeah, I'm pissed off too. It's not right. Because if you can censor one, you can censor the next and the next and the next and the next. And screw that, man. That's not right. I mean, have they ever censored a feminist forum? All of the hate you see coming from those things. And I'll bet they've never censored one ever.
No, I can't imagine. I mean, the world would end, wouldn't it?
How dare these men have emotions? You know, how dare they be angry and rageful? Well, I got
how dare they not like women? You don't know like women. You have to respect women. You have to believe that women are better than men.
But this system has been crushing men for a number of years. And if you're going to crush men, you better let them talk about it, at least. I mean, that's the least that can be done. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's a disgusting, cowardly thing. It's misleading to quarantine them like that,
Yep.
to put up a reference to Michael fucking pervert Kimmel, to do all this. I mean, if you're going to be honest, this isn't honesty. This is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, they want to silence them.
Yeah, they just want to silence them, but first they want to shame them.
Yes.
And one thing I do believe, even though, like I said, this is not a place I would hang out there and
Right.
do anything with, but
Right.
I can tell you one thing, you're not going to shut those guys up. They're going to find a way to talk. But
Good.
here's the real problem. Men that don't find a way to release anger, act out anger. Humans, that's a human trait. What we
Absolutely.
get to release, we tend to act out because
Yes.
it's got its own inertia. It's going to come out one way or another. And
Yes.
if you're crushing these guys, crushing their voices, forbidding them from having a platform to talk to each other, you are creating a lot bigger problem than just guys going in there and venting. It's just, it's a sick, horrible thing to do.
It's nutty, and it's anti-therapeutic. You know, men generally use anger as a means to connect in with their loss. You know,
Yep.
It's just a very typical way for men to do that. And so to shame and censor men for being angry, that sucks. You know, it really freaking sucks. It pisses me off.
Yes, it does.
How dare men have emotions?
Yes, and
Like
how
poetic
how dare they have anything that we don't tell them to have?
That's about right, Paul.
I mean, it is. It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
That's it.
So I hope, just, you know, for whatever it's worth, it may not be worth anything, but it's important for me to say that I'm pulling for the Red Pill subreddit community
Me too.
to get this albatross off their back
Yes.
and to have these people leave them alone and let them have their forum without this capricious bullshit interference.
Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely.
And that's all I got on that story.
That's number one. You can't make this shit up.
You can't make it up, man.
Yeah. So should we go to number two?
Let's go to number two.
Number two. Let me give you the title, Paul. This
Drum
one,
roll, please.
when I saw these articles, I thought, you know, it's like the last time I thought the same thing. I thought, we'll never find articles this nutty from this point forward. I mean, it's just, you can't do it. But this one, here's the title. Boys encouraged to wear nail polish, massage each other at gender neutral school.
You can't make this shit up.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. This is in Iceland. And this is not like one little teeny school. The population is 334,000.
Is what?
Girls. 334,000. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The school, I'm sorry. I may have mistaken.
That's a big ass school, Tom.
No, that's actually the population of Iceland. Earth to Tom, come in. Let's back that up. Back that truck up. No, but it's 20 nursery schools and 20 elementary schools that are doing the same thing. And of course, it's a radical feminist who's decided that this is the best thing to do. And man, what do? They get out the lotion so that boys can massage other boys, so they can learn to be tender. You know, what do they say? They say, we want boys to be considerate, nice, and gentle. Considerate, nice, and gentle. That's what we want from the boys. So we get them to massage the other boys. We want them to have gentle hands, and are also taught to play at looking after babies with gender-neutral rag dolls. That's the boys. But what happens to the girls?
Gender-neutral rag doll. Does that mean the doll doesn't have a dick, or vagina? What? Gender-neutral dolls. I thought dolls were gender-neutral because they're fucking dolls. But anyway, that's a sidetrack.
So what do they do with the girls, Paul? Here's what they do. They teach the girls to climb trees and climb walls.
And they tell them something else too, right?
If they fall down and they start crying, they say to the girls, no, 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 no crying, no crying.
Hold it. Feminists, let me get this right. Feminists have been telling us for years that this is part of what's wrong with boys.
Boys, yes, this is pathology.
That this is pathology, that boys' feelings are repressed.
Yes.
And I guess this girls don't cry is now meant to go with their Doc Martens and wide leather belts and blue jeans and flannel work shirts.
Yes.
For girls. Yes. Why is it that feminists always bemoan the way men are and how we're socialized and then try to behave just like that themselves?
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, you can't make this shit up. It's literally amazing. They try and actively become more masculine, but at the same time, they shame men for being that way.
And what is it, Tom, what do they think they're going to get out of handing boys lotion and saying, give each other a massage?
They're going to eliminate the blue haze and the pink haze. These schools call this for the girls. When the girls try and be considerate and nice, that's considered a pink haze. So it's discouraged for the girls to be considerate and nice.
Oh, bossy.
Exactly. We want them tough. And for the boys, the blue haze is when he, quote, acts like a boy, you know? What blows my mind with this, Paul, is that they have this underlying idea that everything is socially constructed. Everything is socially constructed where, you think you're a boy, so you're a boy. It's like, wait a minute, what about testosterone? What about testosterone? Boys have testosterone, and we were primed in utero to have more reaction to testosterone. The receptors in the brain were primed by the testosterone flood in utero to prime the boys to be more sensitive to the testosterone. So all of these things are out there that's just physical reasons that boys are the way they are. And what do we get? We get these crazy people. I have this image that the next thing they're going to do is they're going to put boys into some sort of stockade that keeps them from being tall. And they're going to give girls stretching because girls need to be the same height as boys, right?
Yeah, and they need to tell them not to grow breasts. Too.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, too.
Just stay flat-chested.
Yeah, otherwise, that's a stereotype right there, Paul, those breasts. Yeah.
Maybe that's the deal with, maybe that school of thought has affected David Futrell. Why he has tits.
Old man boobs, eh?
Old man boobs.
Oh, God.
Good grief. So they're promoting homosexuality. And of course, the moment I say they're promoting homosexuality among boys, somebody's going to accuse me of being a homophobe, like I really give a shit about anybody's sex life, which I don't.
Yeah.
But that is part of this agenda.
Yes.
Too. Let's make no mistake about it.
That's right.
The promotion of homosexuality has always been a part of the Marxist leftist agenda, including the feminist agenda.
Yes. Yes.
And what do we say, Tom, about these fucking Icelandic parents that have their kids going to this school and they aren't down there with baseball bats, smashing windows and doors?
Can you imagine if your kid was going through this? What? Well, I'd be down there. I'd be down there in a heartbeat. I'd yank that kid out so fast.
And I would bet you, though, that you're an exception, because that's always been part of the problem, is that, they're now bringing gender studies in the United States into middle schools and stuff like that. And
elementary schools.
And elementary schools. And parents aren't doing a goddamn thing about it. They are so wired to defer to what they consider to be authority.
Yeah.
They just let it happen, and their daughters come home from college. By the time they get done with, they're indoctrinated, hating their fathers, and the father then writes a check to pay for that school.
Yeah, man. What do you do when the authority is insane? I mean, that's really what we're talking about.
What you do is you check out and go your own way.
There you go. Indeed.
Oh, Lord, what a story.
It's crazy, eh?
You really can't make this shit up.
I know. That's why I was thinking the same thing. So how about number 3?
Number 3, oh my goodness, Seneca Valley High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You talk about can't make this shit up.
I know.
And this is a tragic, tragic story. Young man going to school there apparently wasn't popular with a clique of girls. They, to put it bluntly, didn't like him. So, of course, they fabricated sexual assault allegations on him, which is natural for girls to do when they don't like a boy. I mean, they think he's creepy. He probably would sexually assault somebody if he could get away with it. So why not just go ahead and tell on him for it, which they did. He was drug out in shackles from the school, thrown in juvenile detention, psychologically traumatized, absolutely had him as his reputation dragged through the mud, humiliated in front of his entire school, in front of all of his friends. And then the girls finally fessed up, oh, yeah, we lied because we didn't like him. We lied because we didn't like. And you hear, and this is why, you know, if anybody wants to know, politics aside, I mean, I've made no secret that I'm a Trump fan, but if you want to know why I'm so ecstatic about Christina Blasey Ford getting up and running her bullshit routine and then watching Judge Kavanaugh get sworn in, or at least being able to see pictures of it as the next justice, why I like that so much, it is this stuff. All this bullshit narrative about how girls don't lie. About, oh, good God, do they lie?
Oh, man.
They lie.
Relational violence.
Yes, relational aggression, folks. And this is one way of acting it out. These shit little sluts, these little skanks at this school at Seneca Valley in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, didn't like somebody, so they fucking destroyed him. And I guarantee you, like remember the last story, Tom, we talked about the woman who was sentenced to a year for the false allegation and rolled her eyes at the judge.
Right.
This is the same kind of people. Right. I guarantee you, it's the same kind of people. Ooh, so what? So we lied. So we got in trouble. Big deal.
That's it.
The big deal. Meanwhile, this kid's in therapy now, can't face his school. He has to be in homeschooling. He's psychologically impaired because of this experience. And the school then followed up after these little bitches did their best to ruin him. Then when the parents went to the school to complain about what happened, school said nothing, no big deal, no punishment for the girls, not a bit. They went to the police. Police shrugged their shoulders. So what? No big deal. So now they're suing those little bitches. I hope they wreck their parents' lives. Oh, by the way, as I often do in appeal, if you go to Seneca Valley High School and you know the identities of these young girls that they're hiding, please get a hold of me and let me know. I would an earformen@gmail.com. I would love to know about it. I would love to put it out there for the world to see because they're hiding their identities. And you notice...
Yeah, why is that? I don't get it. They're the accused.
Yes. Well, because they accuse somebody of a sexual crime against them, their identities have been protected. But even after they've admitted that they were lying, and that they did this maliciously in order to inflict harm on somebody just because they didn't like him, they're still protecting their identities. Yeah. That's part of the problem here.
I was thinking maybe it was because they were kids, you know, juveniles.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it does seem odd.
I know that when juveniles have been, frequently when juveniles I've seen in the past have been accused of sexual crimes, their identities are released.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
They're
go.
not hiding stuff. Now, in this case, they did conceal his identity, as far as I know, at least in the one news count. You'll see that link below.
We should.
But this is one of those really horrible, horrible stories of somebody's life being destroyed. And this places young men at suicide risk. It places them at risk for, depression, certainly, and all kinds of other trauma-related problems from going through this kind of experience. And nobody gives a damn. School doesn't care. The authorities don't care. The girl's parents obviously don't care. Nobody cares. These parents are left to patch back together the pieces of their son's life while the world shrugs and looks the other way because nobody gives a damn. It is a sad statement about the world. It really is. I agree. And it highlights the problems that people like Tom and I have been talking about all these years, that this is how bad it is. This is how it isn't just that people don't care about men's problems. They're more than willing to compound them.
Yes.
More than happy to make it worse. Any opportunity. And until people start fighting back, it's going to continue. The only reason Kavanaugh got sworn in, I believe, is because he fought back.
Yes.
And this kid has a right to fight back too. So like I said, I hope somebody gets me the information on these little rape liars. I'd be happy to put them in public, and I don't give a damn if anybody likes it.
Yep. The whole thing with false accusation is just so incredibly twisted. With people who falsely accused just don't get any punishment at all.
Oh, and I don't have the link to it anymore, but I saw it. If you follow Michelle Malkin on Facebook, she currently has a video up there that she did from her CRTV program about rape liars, about accusations, and totally destroys. Feminists have been saying for years that it's 2%, something like, that's their number, that it's 2%.
Right.
Rips that to total shreds, gives the history on where that lie came from, and starts talking about real numbers.
What does she say? What numbers she conclude?
Upwards of 40%.
Yeah, that's Canaan.
Yep. And she didn't even quote Canaan or the McDonald study.
Yeah.
There was other stuff that she had, other sources.
Wow,
so
good.
As more and more of these sources come up about rape liars, we start to see that we're looking at more like a 40% figure. That the chances are almost 50-50 that if you're accused of rape, it's going to be a lie.
Yep. Believe the victim, Paul. Believe the victim.
Believe the woman, not the victim. Believe the woman, man.
Isn't the victim always a woman?
Yes, of course. Just as the perpetrator is always a man, because that's what I've noticed. The victim is always a woman. That's why when we see all these hundreds and hundreds of school teachers grooming their students for sex, it's always men. Oh, wait, no, that's women too. God, I don't know what. Well, that's a fact I don't want to deal with.
Yeah, really.
If I want to get in touch with my feminist side, I'll look the other way.
Like that research.
Those kids are lying.
The research I did, or not I did, but the research project I looked at in a YouTube years ago of sex abuse with boys and girls, basically it's almost 50-50. And if you look at the most intrusive forms of sexual abuse of children, in this study it showed the males to be higher than the females by a significant factor, but the less intrusive, the females were higher than the males.
We will put in the description area to this video Tom Golden's article on boys raped more often than girls.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. And I wrote to that researcher and I said, why didn't you put this important fact into your research? And because I took it from the tables and I saw the tables and I wrote to her, I said, wait a minute, this is an important piece. She said, well, we talked about it in our group and we decided it wasn't important enough. I swear that's what she said.
We decided boys weren't important enough.
Well, that's basically what she said too.
Sure.
And that's what we're seeing here. Gynocentrism runs silent and it runs deep. And all the things where we're talking about you can't make the shit up has to do with gynocentrism. You know, people see the pain of women and they run to help. People see the pain of men and they turn away. You know, it's just that simple. It's crazy.
That's why I keep saying, I know you've heard Tom say it and you hear a lot of other people say it, that while we work to expose this stuff, we work, do some work to address the problems that men face, man, 90% of the solution is within your grasp. Don't, reject your own gynocentrism. Take red pills. Live your life differently. See yourself differently. This whole thing is about imagining yourself not being a groveling idiot for the almighty woman. And in fact, I'm writing about that right now. I'm writing about an earlier part of my life where that was me. And I believe most red pill men at some point live that gynocentric chivalric lifestyle. And it ends up destroying your perception and sometimes your life.
Yes, I'm convinced that we are biologically geared to do that. And we really need to find out about that so we can try and help boys and men understand that. And therefore that we got to fight this part of ourselves. We have to try and change that part.
And we can. And I don't buy the bullshit from the determinists who want to tell us, oh, that's just biology. It's just the way we are. You know what? Biology tells me that if I'm hungry and Tom has a hamburger, for me to get a rock and knock him on the head and take his hamburger. That's what biology is. But we have established methods of living that elevate us above our base biology.
Yes.
And we're capable of doing this with women too.
And, we've also found, or the researchers have found, that the brain is plastic. I mean, we can change things. We can change our biology even with conscious efforts, but it ain't easy, but we can. So yeah, I'm not thinking in terms of deterministic stuff. I'm thinking in terms of giving men the information they need to be able to change and value themselves. Because that's really the problem, Paul, is that men, given the gynocentric culture, we tend not to value ourselves as human beings,
Yep.
Ugh.
Absolutely right.
Oh boy.
And that is the biggest change, that this is what the red pill brings more than anything else.
Yes, men are good.
You value yourself.
Yes, exactly right. And when men value themselves, they make different decisions.
They make different decisions, and when men value themselves, the world fucking hates their guts for it.
Indeed.
You know what? But we can live with that. The world can kiss our collective asses.
I love you, Paul.
Love you too, Tom.
Oh my God. Should we go?
We got one more story here.
Man, we got one more, but it is such a barn burner. It's just hard to believe this stuff exists. And it's actually our most positive story tonight. So it's our positive story.
I like ending on a good note.
Exactly. It's 3 academes got together and they were very concerned about the identity politics in science today. And they basically looked at things and they said, wait a minute, this isn't about science. This is about grievance studies, where people do this stuff. It's not even research. It's just stuff about how grieved they are, how a certain group is more grieved than another group, about this whole grievance studies thing. So they thought, what we're going to do is we're going to start publishing some articles and ask that they be published in these prestigious journals. We're going to just make this shit up. We're going to make it up, and we're going to make it as crazy as we can make it and see if they'll accept these articles into these prestigious journals. So
and they did, didn't they?
Oh, God, they did. They wrote 20 articles. And I think 7 of the 20 were not only accepted, they were published. And the link to this article will be in the notes below. But, oh, man, if you want a real roller coaster of laughing and crying, read this article. It's just unbelievable what they've done. I mean, these people were extremely creative. And let me give you a couple of ideas. One that I think has hit the news more than the others is the dog park one. And listen to the title: Human Reactions to Rape Culture and Queer Performativity in Urban Dog Parks in Portland, Oregon. But here's the thesis: that dog parks are rape condoning spaces and a place of rampant canine rape culture and systemic oppression against the oppressed dog, through which human attitudes to both problems can be measured. This provides insight into training men out of the sexual violence and bigotry to which they're prone. That was accepted and published. And not only that, it's really fun to read this, guys. You read through there, and they not only have, what I just read to you, but they've got the responses from these journals, these reviewers, because each peer-reviewed journal is reviewed by numerous people, and they'll send it back and say, well, you need to do this in order to change it. You need to do that. So you see that these people are just, and this one the reviewers loved. Oh, this is wonderful. In fact, they loved it so much, Paul. Oh my God. They loved it so much. There's this other prestigious journal that has its 25th anniversary coming up. They were going to pick 12 journal articles to highlight in this 25th anniversary, and they asked them if they could put the dog park one in there.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness gracious, you really can't make this shit up. But guys, it gets even worse. It gets worse. There's another one over fat bodybuilding. They talked about, fat people are ashamed with the bodybuilding thing. So what can we do with this? The title of this article is, Who Are They to Judge? Overcoming Anthropometry and a Framework for Fat Bodybuilding. So they have a framework for
what the fuck was that? One more time.
Okay.
Run that by me again.
Who are they to judge? ? Overcoming Anthropometry and a Framework for Fat Bodybuilding. So here's the thesis: that it's only oppressive cultural norms which make society regard the building of muscle rather than fat admirable, and that bodybuilding and activism on behalf of the fat could be benefited by including fat bodies displayed in non-competitive ways. That article was accepted and published. It was all made up.
Oh, sure.
Completely and utterly made up. And, there was...
But you know what? It's a parody of a lot of research that's out there, a lot of papers that are published out there. It's an absolute parody of it. And the thing is, if you had presented that to me as somebody publishing that seriously, I would have had no problem believing it.
Yes. And that's their point. I would
have said, no, somebody had to make that up.
That is exactly their point. That this stuff is just so accepted today, this whole grievance study thing, that you can put out stuff like this, and as long as it's in the right direction, as long as it's against white males, basically, you'll be okay.
Especially if it's physically fit white males. Oh yes, a framework for fat weightlifting. I thought that was a redundancy. You're that fat, you're lifting weight all the time.
And there's more of these. I don't know if we want to go on or not, but there's a couple more we could do, or we can call it off. What do you think?
It's your call, boss.
Let's do one more.
Let's do one more.
Here's the title.
And then they can read the rest of them.
Going in through the back door, challenging straight male homo hysteria and transphobia through receptive, penetrative sex toy use.
In other words, you get you get to be okay with homosexuality if you stick something up your ass.
Not only that, but you'll believe in feminism if you stick something up your ass.
Well, that sounds legit.
That's a good point, actually.
You got to put a big old stick up your ass to believe that.
Isn't that the truth? Here, you want to hear the thesis?
Sure.
The thesis is that it is suspicious that men rarely anally self-penetrate using sex toys. and that this is probably due to fear of being thought homosexual, homo-hysteria, and bigotry against trans people, transphobia. It combines these ideas into a novel concept, trans-hysteria, which was suggested by one of the paper's peer reviewers, encouraging them to engage in receptive, penetrative anal eroticism will decrease transphobia and increase feminist values. They loved this. This paper, I think this one was accepted, but it was never published. But
here I was. I thought I was just afraid of sticking shit up my ass.
But my hat's off to these guys. I mean, you know,
and the thing is, and we have to remember, people took this, academic scholars,
yes,
their stuff in and took it seriously.
Yes. And that is how crazy academia has gotten. That's literally how crazy. They're suggesting that straight men should stick things up their butt in order to be more feminist. I mean, you cannot make this shit up.
And like I said, I'm going to second that. If you want to be more feminist, you see these tripods I got leaning back on the wall behind me here? One of them's about 5.5 feet tall. Oh, anybody that wants to be a male feminist is welcome to shove that right up their ass.
Paul, you may have some takers.
Yeah, I probably will. Oh, God, don't get around Hugo Schweitzer with that talk.
Hugo.
Hugo.
Hugo. Go, Hugo.
Oh, my God.
So that's enough, eh?
Yeah, I would call that ending on a positive note. I mean,
we'll leave out the one where they used excerpts from Mein Kampf as a feminist thing, and the one where they used poetry that they generated from an adolescent anger poetry generator.
They used Hitler?
Yeah, they literally took chapter 12.
Hitler for feminists.
They used chapter 12 of Mein Kampf and basically put words into it that would fit with feminism into this. And the journal article this was also accepted. And they were going, wow, this is really something. And you read the responses, it's like, these people are crazy. Crazy.
Oh my God.
I know. It's amazing, but it's an amazing read. I strongly suggest people have a look at it if you want to laugh and cry.
Absolutely. But oh my God, it is a sad and pathetic world we live in.
But my thanks to these three academes for doing this, because they are literally bringing the truth to bear. By making fun of these people, they're bringing up the truth that this stuff has gone too far.
And now, of course, they have targets painted on them. I'm sure.
I bet they do. But they have hero painted on them for me.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully they all have tenure, and they can just flip the finger at everybody.
Hopefully so.
Keep doing what they're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah. So are we good?
I think we're good, man.
Are men good?
Men are indeed good, as are you.
It's just what I was going to say, Paul.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that. I thought,
but it sounded good coming from you, so we'll leave it like that.
Men are good.
All right. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye, guys.